Do you keep waiting for the right time, for someone to notice you, for a mentor to choose you, for a friend to approve of you, for the world to finally say, "Now you may begin"? Do you hesitate before speaking your vision? Do you hold back your power because no one gave you the green light? Do you think you need permission to become the man you were born to be? Ask yourself, how many dreams have you delayed because you were waiting? How many plans have you buried because no one clapped for them? How many days have you drifted because no one said your name? And how much longer will you keep waiting for someone else to grant you what you already possess? Let me make it plain. You don't need their approval. You need decision. You don't need their applause. You need action. You don't need permission. You need obedience to your own burning desire. In this speech, you will learn why hesitation is a lie, why delay is a thief, and why the top 1% never ask, never beg, never explain, they move. You will be given 8 unbreakable mental laws that will free you from fear, silence the voice of doubt, and burn away the need for anyone's permission. And by the time this speech ends, you will not wait to be seen. You will see yourself. You will not ask to be chosen. You will choose yourself. You will not wait for permission. You will give it to yourself. So now, don't wait. Don't ask. Don't hesitate. Give yourself permission to listen to this speech. Give yourself permission to change your life. You think you need someone to say go? You believe that the gates of success swing open only after you are seen, approved, and applauded? Then hear me now, and hear me with the fire of truth in my voice. Every man who has ever built anything of lasting greatness moved without permission. He acted before the world said he was worthy. He stepped forward not because someone said he could, but because something within demanded that he must. This world does not reward the hesitant. It does not make room for the cautious. It bows only to the bold. Permission is the lie sold to the timid. The masses are taught to wait for the perfect time, the perfect conditions, the perfect invitation. But the truth is this: the time is never perfect, and the invitation never comes. If you are waiting, you are losing. If you are asking, you are already behind. Let this truth shake your soul awake. The builders of empires, the shapers of nations, the men whose names echo through the centuries, they all moved first. They did not look to their left or right. They did not ask, "Is it time?" They did not wait for applause. They acted from within. They obeyed the voice of law planted deep in their hearts by infinite intelligence. You are not waiting. You are wasting. You are not cautious. You are bound. The clock does not pause for you. The hour is already late. The world owes you no announcement. The gates will not part for the hesitant, but they will shatter before the man who walks with decision. I speak now to the man inside of you who is tired of delay. I speak now to the part of your spirit that knows it was made for more, knows it has been circling long enough, knows the hour to act is not tomorrow, not when the world grants favor, but now. Because only the now is real. Only the now can be commanded. In this speech, I will give you 8 mental laws. They are not suggestions. They are not techniques. They are spiritual instructions. If you obey them, they will burn the hesitation from your bones and leave only the steel of decision. If you obey them, your life will no longer belong to the crowd. It will belong to you. I will not flatter you. I will not soften the blows. I will give you law. I will give you command. I will give you the path that the masses reject because it is narrow, demanding, and absolute, but also the only path that leads to greatness. If you think you must be seen before you act, then you will never be seen. If you think you must be chosen before you begin, then you have already surrendered your throne. But if you decide now that you are the one, that you move without permission, that your steps are not subject to the approval of the crowd, then you will rise. Then the world will notice. Then infinite intelligence will respond. And it will respond not with applause, but with power. not with comfort, but with confirmation. It will open the right doors, not because you asked, but because you walked forward without asking. Now listen closely. I will give you 8 laws, 8 commands, 8 weapons for the man who is done waiting. Each one will require that you become someone new, not through explanation, but through execution. Do not just hear me, obey me. Do not just write notes. Write your new identity. Do not just feel inspired, feel demanded. This is not a speech. This is a mirror. And the man who stares into it must choose, remain a servant to hesitation, or rise as a sovereign of decision. Part 1. The world waits for the man who acts first. The man who acts first bends the world. He speaks before he is invited. He walks before the crowd assembles. He moves before anyone understands why. And because of this, the world, though confused at first, eventually follows. It always has. It always will. The world may resist the man who acts early, but it eventually makes room for him. It adjusts to his law. The average man waits for conditions to approve of his action. He looks around and asks, "Is it time yet?" But the time never answers. The sun rises and sets, and still he asks. And so he lives like most, full of potential, starved of power. He dies wondering why life never opened the gates. But the gates were never locked. They were waiting to be claimed. The man who moves without hesitation, however, becomes a force. He does not consult opinion. He does not wait for applause. He knows what he came to do, and he begins doing it. He may be mocked, he may be doubted, but he is never forgotten. For the world respects the one who leads, even when it does not yet believe. Say this aloud. I no longer ask if I may act. I act, and the world adjusts. That is not arrogance. That is spiritual maturity. That is law in motion. That is the rhythm of the 1%. They do not drift through days hoping for a sign. They become the sign. Andrew Carnegie once said, "The world has the habit of making room for the man whose words and actions show that he knows where he is going." I saw it firsthand. I did not hear of it in legend. I lived in the shadow of his decisions. Carnegie did not pick the most talented. He did not select the most educated. He chose men who moved, men who decided, men who knew without being told. One such man was Charles Schwab, young, unqualified in the eyes of academia, yet bold, magnetic, certain. When asked to lead, he stepped forward before the question was finished. And for that reason, Carnegie gave him empire. Understand this. Greatness does not sit waiting to be tapped on the shoulder. It demands to be seized. The man who acts first may not be understood, but he will be remembered. The crowd may not follow today, but tomorrow they will ask how he saw what they did not. Why does the world follow such men? Because it is starved for clarity, because it is drowning in hesitation, because most men are watchers, not movers. But when one man moves, the fog lifts for all. Now let me speak plainly. Hesitation is a sin against your destiny. It is theft against your power. Every second you spend waiting is a second you teach the world to ignore you. Every moment you delay is a message to the subconscious that you are not in command. And the subconscious, once convinced of your indecision, will refuse to assist you. You must act now, not because the conditions are perfect, but because the conditions will never be perfect. You must act now, not because you feel ready, but because readiness is the fruit of motion, not the cause. And you must act now, not because others approve, but because your aim demands it. This is law. The man who moves first owns the field. The man who speaks first shapes the room. The man who acts without being told becomes the standard others measure themselves by. You must now become that man. But what if I am wrong? The mind whispers. Then adjust, course correct. But do not stand still. The man who waits for perfect action never takes any. But the man who acts boldly can refine along the way. The world forgives mistakes. It never forgives weakness. You must now build your reputation with your own mind. Let your subconscious see you act. Let it watch you move without begging. Let it witness that you are no longer a man who asks, but a man who executes. When this becomes habit, the world will reflect it back. Doors will open. Resources will appear, not because you waited, but because you walked. Repeat this. I no longer ask if I may act. I act and the world adjusts. That is your rhythm now. That is your mental frame. That is your new spine. You will not wait for friends, mentors, society, or strangers to clap. You will move, and the echo of your footsteps will become the signal for others to rise. Action is not something you do. It is who you become. And the more you do it without request, the more you build the muscle of command. Soon you will no longer think, should I? You will simply know. And from that knowing, you will move mountains. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is law. And you must now choose, continue waiting for someone to say go, or become the one who never needed to hear it in the first place. I have given you the command. Now act. Act today. Act before you feel ready. Act when no one is watching. Act when no one believes. And soon the world will begin to rearrange itself around your movement. Part 2, delay is the death of power. Every time you delay, you tell life that you are not ready. And life, being obedient to the one who commands it, simply agrees. You delay and speak of caution. But caution is rarely wisdom. It is often fear dressed in the robes of logic. Delay is the polite mask of indecision, and indecision is the murderer of destiny. The man who builds does not delay. He moves with intent even before he understands everything. He knows that the act of movement reveals the path. He knows that waiting for clarity is a form of paralysis. He knows that power is not given to those who hesitate. Power is claimed by those who act and refine as they go. Henry Ford did not wait for unanimous support. He did not wait until the engineers were certain. He did not consult the masses, the press, or the doubters. He launched the Model T when many believed it would fail. And because he moved, the industry followed. He acted first. He adjusted later. That is the rhythm of every builder, and say it aloud. I do not delay. I declare. I do not consult fear. I override it. This must be your law now, because every hesitation plants a seed in the subconscious that says, I doubt myself. And that seed grows quietly until it becomes a belief that paralyzes, a belief that whispers, I am not ready. And once believed, it becomes your law, unless you kill it with immediate action. Let me speak to the voice in you that calls hesitation wisdom. You say, but I must wait until I have more knowledge. You say, but I must prepare more before I begin. But how much preparation is too much? How much knowledge do you need before you act? That is the deception. You will never feel ready because readiness is not a state you arrive at. It is a result of decision. The builders of the world act with imperfect knowledge. They act with partial certainty. They act while others prepare. And because they act, they get feedback. They learn faster. They adjust better. They earn credibility with the subconscious faster. And therefore, they move ahead while others remain still. Each moment you wait for the perfect moment, the moment decays. Each time you hesitate, life becomes less responsive. The doors do not remain open for the man who cannot decide. The universe gives to the bold, not the balanced, to the resolute, not the reasonable. You must now become the man who moves when others are still thinking. Let me give you this picture. Two men stand before a field. One waits for the weather to clear. The other begins to plant, even in the fog. The second man does not know everything, but he moves. By the time the weather clears for the first man, the second is already harvesting. That is the difference between the one who commands and the one who delays. And I say again, delay is not neutral, it is death. Death of energy, death of momentum, death of identity. The more you delay, the more you reinforce the identity of the man who does not move, and identity becomes your master. Soon you will say, that's just who I am, and you will believe it. but it was built by delay. Break that identity now. Speak aloud. I do not delay, I declare. I do not consult fear, I override it. Let your voice cut through the lie. Let your spirit rise in defiance of hesitation. Let your body feel the urgency of your calling. Because delay does not just waste time, it kills vision. It drowns your definite chief aim in lukewarm indecision. Begin to train your mind to move fast. When you have a thought that serves your aim, act on it. When you see a path that aligns with your law, step toward it. Do not discuss it endlessly. Do not wait for all lights to turn green. Take the first step. Speed of thought must become speed of execution. The most dangerous man is not the one who knows everything. He is the one who does not delay. Because he will learn faster. He will build momentum. He will surprise even himself with how quickly life begins to obey his movement. That is not magic. It is spiritual law. Law favors the man who acts. You must now build a new rhythm. You must become allergic to delay. If something needs doing, do it. If a word must be spoken, speak it. If a plan must be executed, execute it. Delay no longer belongs in your vocabulary. It is no longer welcome in your temple. Because once you kill delay, you ignite command. Once you refuse to wait, you train the subconscious to obey. Once you act without asking, you become a man who builds, not someday, not soon, but now. Say it again. I do not delay, I declare. I do not consult fear, I override it. That sentence is your sword. Use it when doubt rises. Use it when the old habits whisper, wait. Use it when your body hesitates. And then act. Act fast. Act fully. Act without negotiation. You are not here to hesitate. You are here to build. And builders do not ask for conditions to be perfect. They move and create perfection as they go. Part 3. Permission is a prison. You have been taught from birth to wait. Wait your turn. Wait until you're qualified. Wait until someone taps you on the shoulder and says, now you may begin. But no man who built greatness waited. No man who made history waited. The idea that you must be given permission is a lie, one crafted to keep the masses obedient and to keep the bold from rising too soon. Permission is a prison. It is not a delay. It is a denial of self-trust. Each time you ask, may I? You hand your power to someone else. Each time you say, am I ready? You deny the fire that is already burning within. And each time you hesitate for another's blessing, you betray the one voice that matters, your own. Understand this now and forever. No one with power is giving you access. They are defending their gate. The gates are not locked by accident. They are held shut by men who waited too long, then decided to keep others from moving faster than they did. And yet you wait at those gates. You knock, you plead, you wonder if they will ever open. They won't. You must kick them in. Thomas Edison did not wait for society to say, you may invent the future. He took it. He did not attend university. He was not granted titles. He did not ask for recognition. He moved from thought to action, from idea to laboratory, from failure to fire. And because he acted without permission, the world eventually obeyed his light. You must now choose, remain behind the velvet rope, waiting for your name to be called, or tear down the rope and declare, I no longer beg. I enter. I no longer knock. I walk through. That is not disrespect. That is the highest form of self-respect. Because a man who has found his aim, who has written his law, who repeats it with faith and persistence, that man does not need permission. He already has it from within. Let me speak clearly. You are not too young. You are not too old. You are not underprepared. You are not unknown. You are only waiting because you have been taught to. And what you've been taught must now be unlearned through action. Not debate, not discussion, but action. The longer you wait, the more you convince your subconscious that permission must be earned. But it cannot be earned. It must be seized. Every act of waiting makes the chains tighter. Every defiant move breaks them. So move, even when they laugh, even when they doubt, especially then. Society praises conformity, but rewards courage. The crowd says, be patient, but it cheers the man who moves. The contradiction is this: the world teaches permission, but it bows to power, and power never asks. Power declares, power acts, power breaks. Say it now. I no longer beg. I enter. I no longer knock. I walk through. Let that law burn down every hesitation, every inherited belief, every fear of what they might say. They will speak no matter what. Let them speak of your courage, not your delay. You have already waited long enough. The ideas you hold, the plan you've postponed, the message you've muffled, all of it is suffocating behind a wall you built with your own hands, brick by brick, made of requests and apologies. Tear it down. Tear it down today. Write down everything you have delayed. Write the names of the people you've waited on. Write the rooms you've refused to enter. Write the dreams you've postponed until someone says you're ready. And then burn that list with your action. No one gave Lincoln the confidence to lead. No one gave Rockefeller the endorsement to rise. No one gave Ford permission to build an empire. They moved, and the world bowed. They walked, and the road formed beneath them. You must do the same. Not tomorrow, not soon, now. Because every time you ask, is it my time? You chain your destiny to someone else's opinion. And no man whose destiny is controlled by others will ever build what he was born to build. The world is waiting, not for the next man who begs to be seen, but for the next man who enters without apology, who declares himself ready, who builds without a blueprint from others, who becomes the invitation. Say it again. I no longer beg. I enter. I no longer knock. I walk through. Say it until the voice of doubt crumbles. Say it until your bones believe it. Say it until you forget what hesitation felt like. And then act. Act without looking back. Act without waiting for response. Permission is a cage. You hold the key. Use it, walk through, move now. Part 4. The voice of doubt must be silenced. Daily. The most dangerous voice is not the one outside of you, it is the one within. It is quiet but constant. It whispers not with rage, but with reason. It says, maybe wait. It says, what if you're wrong? It says, be careful. And because it sounds like logic, most men obey it. But that voice is not your ally. It is the ghost of every fear you inherited. That voice was planted. It was placed in you by the frightened, the failed, the forgotten. It was given to you by teachers who never risked, by parents who never built, by friends who never rose. And now it speaks in your own voice, convincing you that caution is virtue. But it is not. When that voice tells you to pause, it is not to protect you. It is to keep you small. Abraham Lincoln knew this war. He was mocked, opposed, doubted even by his own men. He carried the weight of a nation and the fire of purpose at once. But he did not let the voice of fear win. He wrote, he prayed, he acted. He made decisions in silence while fear screamed. And because he moved in spite of doubt, the world remembers his name. You will not escape the voice, but you can silence it. Not by arguing with it, but by overpowering it. How? With daily repetition of truth, with bold decisions, with the obedience of discipline over the comfort of delay. Say this now. I move before I feel ready. I act before I am applauded. Say it again. Let it ring louder than fear. Because if you wait to feel ready, you will wait forever. If you wait to be seen, you will remain invisible. Power is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to obey it. You must now begin each day with war, not with others, with yourself. When your eyes open, the battle begins. Before you look outward, look inward. Go to the mirror. Stand before your written law. Speak it aloud. Let your own voice rise above the noise. Say, I am the one who commands. I am the one who moves. I am the one who does not wait. The voice of doubt will try to survive. It will shift shapes. It will take new forms. It will wear the clothing of wisdom. But you must learn to see through it. Ask, does this voice serve my aim? If the answer is no, kill it with action. Do not think twice. Move. Speak. Building before it gathers strength again. Understand this. Confidence is not something you are given. It is something you generate through repeated defiance of doubt. Every time you act in spite of fear, you gather strength. Every time you move when unsure, you carve a deeper groove of identity. Over time, the voice weakens, not because it vanishes, but because it no longer rules. Most men live as servants to hesitation. They disguise it as patience, but their results expose them. A man can say he's being cautious, but if he has no fruit to show, he is lying to himself. You must now become a man whose actions speak louder than his fears. Each morning is your chance to decide again. Will you rise and speak your law with fire, or will you let the ghost of doubt whisper you back into drift? That choice, repeated daily, becomes destiny. And you are always training your mind, either to obey you or to question you. There is no neutral, so you must train it, not once, daily. Every day before the world speaks, you must speak first. You must command the inner man before the outer world distracts him. You must return to your aim, read it aloud, and say with conviction, this is who I am. This is what I build. This is what I obey. And when fear arises, do not resist it. Override it. Do not argue. Act. Do not freeze. Move. Movement is the only cure for mental doubt. There is no philosophy greater than momentum. Doubt cannot live in motion. It feeds on pause. Starve it, repeat again. I move before I feel ready. I act before I am applauded. This is your antidote. This is your power. You will not wait until you are seen. You will become seen by moving while invisible. And once the world sees what you have built, they will say, he was always chosen. But you will know, you chose yourself. Silence is not passive. It is preparatory. In silence, doubt grows. In movement, identity grows. Choose your soil wisely. Choose action. Choose repetition. Choose daily defiance of that old voice. Every time you ignore it and move, you are one step closer to becoming untouchable. Now build your ritual. Do not let a single sunrise pass without standing before your aim. Do not begin your day without declaring your identity. Do not speak to the world until you have spoken to your soul. This is how kings are built, not in applause, but in morning warfare. You will not be the man who hesitates. You will not be the man who needed encouragement. You will be the man who encouraged himself, who spoke life into his own mind, who declared victory before the world offered recognition. And because of that, you will rise. Part 5. The door is already open, but you must walk through alone. You do not need someone to hold your hand. You do not need a crowd behind you. You do not need the nod of society, the cheers of friends, or the eyes of the world. The door is already open, but it opens to those who walk forward alone. Not because they wish to be alone, but because they understand that separation is the price of transformation. Most men wait for company. They wait for agreement. They want someone to say, let's go together, so they do not feel afraid. But that is the voice of comfort, not the voice of law. The man who walks alone moves ahead. The man who waits for others remains behind. Every step you postpone while waiting for support is a step that weakens your conviction. The law of greatness demands separation. It demands that you walk without applause, that you act when others are still watching, that you move when others are still thinking. The man who rises fast must first be willing to rise alone, and in that loneliness he finds strength, not the strength of the crowd, but the strength of decision. John D. Rockefeller did not ascend by blending in. He was disciplined, reserved, methodical, and misunderstood. His strategies were quiet. His moves were rarely approved by others. But he walked through every door the moment it cracked open, even when